Alright. Where do I begin? Disney. Let's talk. So I've been very angry about the Mulan remake that came out last year, and even though I never had a chance to review it, blame my schedule, not me, or my laziness. I lost any and all respect for Disney with that one. Not just because they shot it in an area where the Chinese government was torturing Uyghurs. Not just because the lead was also supporting the Hong Kong police when they were hurting innocent protesters, but because Disney was charging us $30 for a movie that was absolute garbage. That is a new low. So anyway, on to the movie now. Raya and the Last Dragon is a movie that I was super hyped before going into it. The trailers looked pretty cool. The critical reception was great. The animation looked amazing, and I do like Kelly Marie Tran. I think she was the best part of that part of the Last Jedi. Not her character was poorly written, but her acting specifically was pretty good in The Last Jedi. Speaking of which, if you're the kind of person who abuses actors on social media for portraying a character you didn't like, maybe A, you're a horrible person, and B, you're directing your ire towards the wrong person. And you know how I know that she's a good actor? Because she's amazing in this movie. All the actors are amazing. The Awkwafina dragon is Awkwafina. So obviously she is one of the more comedic characters in the film, and she's not too funny. She didn't get a ton of laughs from me, like as compared to some of the other characters, but she's fine. I definitely like the dynamic she has with Raya, especially from an emotional standpoint. She could carry emotional scenes decently well, so the emotional scenes in this movie worked from that angle. Aside from that, Raya and the Last Dragon has all the hallmarks of a modern animated Disney movie. Its animation is absolutely stellar. First things first, just look at these water effects that are probably on screen, even though I'm recording this with no visual reference. I mean, look at these textures, the dragon's fur, the gorgeous whites, oh my god, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. Thank you. In addition to that, I also have to really respect the directing in this movie. I mean, this director really likes to do these like weird, almost anime-ish, like dramatic shots where it just cuts, something happens and it cuts again to like either zoom in or to another shot. And it seems like even the composer of the score got in on this, because the music was perfectly timed with those weird camera angles and cuts. So the editing is also really fun. This especially comes forward in the best part of this movie, which are its action scenes. Action, especially here in the West, has been very hit or miss, especially with movies like the Mulan remake. I will say it now, and I will say it again in a million years. Sorry. That movie's action was bad. See, part of the problem is that it seems like directors of action movies are very scared of their own action. It doesn't seem like they have much confidence in it. So what they'll do is they'll cut right away when the fight is just getting good, or they'll use shaky cam to hide their choreography as if they have no confidence in it. Thankfully, though, the director seems to have a lot of confidence in the action, because it takes the bold trick of not cutting during the middle of choreography and only cutting for pleasure or because something enhances the fight. Which is helped by the fact that the choreography is really good, so yeah, it's clearly... I don't know much about Southeast Asia overall. I definitely need to study more there after seeing this movie. But the choreography to me was really good. Everything looked threatening. All the characters seemed pretty badass. So it works for me on an action standpoint. It's honestly some of the better action I've seen in an animated film. Probably even film in general. It's not like its competition has been stellar. So it didn't have a high bar to cross. But yeah, it worked from an action standpoint. Yeah, like I said, all of the voice cast is doing a stellar job. Kelly Marie Tran deserves more recognition. And I really like the characters' dynamics with each other. I think that works. And the villain, Nimbari, isn't really a villain, but still, she's kind of the main antagonist of the movie, and she has a personality, and she's kind of Raya. Raya was selfish, if Raya took her whole not trusting anyone thing too far and just started betraying everyone just in case. So that works, and she's honestly one of the better characters in an antagonistic role, partially because she's just freaking badass, but also partially because she actually has a human soul, which makes her a more compelling character. But that doesn't mean the movie's perfect. It has some huge flaws. None of those flaws, however, are in the animation, so thank God for that. And none of the flaws... In other words, everything I just talked about was wonderful. Everything I just talked about was great, all positive. All of the stuff that prevents this movie from being higher on the animation tier list are in its writing. So, that means spoilers now. So, spoilers, 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 I guess. I don't know exactly when the spoilers will be over, but I'll put a link in the description to the timestamp, which you can use to, or maybe the comments, just below this video. There will be a link if you don't want spoilers. Okay, so here we go. So the main plot of this movie is that there's this thing called the Dragon Gem, which was forged by Eastern-style dragons, and yes, my bro, they are dragons. You need to expand your definition of a dragon, because these are dragons, okay? These are dragons. No one's disputing that, except for my brother, but, yeah, screw him. So these dragons made this magic gem that keeps these evil, dark magic-looking things called the Drune away, out of existence. It's meant to protect the people of this world called Kumandra from evil dark magic. And then, when the leader of Heart, who is protecting this gem, invites all of the other, like, clans, I guess, the tribes, over for dinner, the Talon, I think? No, it's not Talon. I don't know. The evil one with the white and yellow aesthetic, comes in and tries to steal it, shattering the gem, which causes the Drune to return and start eating people up. Cut to 6 years later, and Raya's, the main characters, just found this new dragon, well, the last dragon, whose name is Sisu, played by Aquafina, to save the world and restore the gem. So they travel on this journey, recruiting members along the way to reassemble the gem and save the whole freaking world, specifically Raya's papa, because he got turned to stone by the Drune. Yeah, that's what they do. They walk over you and they turn you to stone. Okay, good job, I guess. Alright, so just more specifically, I think all the characters work from an Archean stamp. No, not really. It's mostly just Raya. Raya's the one with the real character development here. At the beginning, she's not very trusting, which, you know, fair. She was betrayed by someone who she thought she could consider a friend 6 years ago when everything went to shit. But she doesn't trust anyone, and as such, doesn't even trust Sisu, someone she knows she could trust, to handle things on her own, because she doesn't think that Sisu is able to convince other people of their trust. So she's worried about Sisu getting killed, basically. So over the course of the film, Raya learns to trust people, and Sisu teaches her about trust. And at the end of the film, Raya tries to trust Nimbari, the antagonist, but it doesn't work out because Nimbari also has trust issues, which causes the Aquafina dragon to die, and then causes the Drune to come and attack them. I just spoiled the entire plot of the movie, by the way, and I feel no shame. No shame whatsoever. So, how is it from a plot structure not fantastic? The plot makes sense. There aren't a ton of plot holes. It does that onward thing where it introduces new magical elements over time, and those magic elements, while they do enhance the plot, they don't break the story. It's not like with Wonder Woman 1984, where every time something happens with the magic wishing rock, it does something different every time because it's plot, I guess? No, the real problem with this movie is mostly its pacing. It falls into the same trap that a lot of movies recently, Rise of Skywalker and How to Train Your Dragon 3, to name a few, where it has to keep a high energy for the entirety of the runtime. So as such, it does, even though it has a strong character arc in theory, and the parts of it we do get to see work really well, we don't get to see a lot of it because the pacing is so fast that there was a basically non-existent second act. So as such, the movie never let me slow down to take in what was really going on, or let us explore Raya's character or Sisu's character. Instead we get brief moments, but they all have to build up to this third act. And here's the biggest problem with this movie: the third act is too good for the rest of the movie. Like, seriously, once they get to the I guess the white and yellow aesthetic clan, suddenly the pacing gets really good, the character moments suddenly stand out, and the dramatic moments really make you feel like there's a loss. And it ends with just the best action scene, with a sense of chaos as the Drun approach in the end, and Raya fighting Nimbari, and it's really, really powerful, but also badass. And it just ends in this amazing way where Nimbari has to be the one to trust herself, as well as the rest of the gang has to trust Nimbari, a member of the group that tried to steal the gem and ruined everything, mind you, and they do, and it works out, and it ends in this really heartfelt way where Kumantra is united, and there's just this reconciliation between Raya and her dad, that it's great. The problem is that the rest of the movie wasn't strong enough to carry it. It was kind of high energy, not really high energy actually. Despite the fact that the stakes are astronomically high, they don't feel high until the third act, so it keeps this consistently low energy while also having this very, very, very fast pace, and so it goes by like a breeze. My other brother actually had a great summation of this. We were close to the third act, and he said, "Oh, I forgot the rest of the movie, and then I just remembered." So, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of the story is good. I like the world. The world looks really cool. Not only does it look fantastic, but I like all of the elements and the culture and the way that these tribes are portrayed. It's just that it moves by so fast that I never have any time to take in this world. Compare and contrast with the Lord of the Rings films, they're masterpieces, and don't dispute that. So, I mean, and if you take a look at them, we get time to explore these massive worlds. We get time to establish our status quo and what needs to be done to save it. In Raya, we get thrown into the action basically right away. I think she resummons the dragon within the first 10 minutes, if I'm correct. And if not, then what? So, yeah, this movie's alright, but because of its massive pacing issues in the middle, I can't justify it being like a masterpiece. I think with a bit of story retooling and a fixed pace, this would have been one of the great animated fantasy movies, like How to Train Your Dragon or Kung Fu Panda. It actually ranks just below Kung Fu Panda for me. It's on the upper tier of the set. It's definitely not a bad movie. I'm not going to say that. It has great animation, the story is well thought out, and that third act was just fantastic, but that pacing issue, along with the fact that I honestly couldn't remember some of the other characters' names. I remember them mostly by face and personality, but in addition to that, yeah, this movie wasn't disappointing. I wasn't expecting it to be a masterpiece. I expected something good, and I got what I wanted, so I can't say I'm disappointed. It's just that the pacing issues, along with the fact that, honestly, The other characters, it's basically just Raya and Nimbari with the development here. They're the only ones with character arcs where they need to learn to trust each other. The only ones where they fill out the lie, ghost, want, need category, where Raya wants to save the world, and she realizes in the end to save the world she needs to trust them, but she doesn't trust them because the last time she trusted the enemy, it blew up in her face, and it works, and Nimbari feels the same way. But the other characters don't get nearly enough development. In the third act, like I said, is great. And in the third act, they kind of show up to reaffirm Raya's character arc in the end, but they just kind of feel like footnotes in what is otherwise a good story. And I think that has partially to do with the pacing issues. Yeah, the pacing breaks a lot of what could be great in this movie. Because, like, let's say they fixed the pacing and allowed us to explore all of these characters' backstories and establish why they don't trust the others, just like Raya doesn't. Then, at the end, when they trust Nimbari, it feels more impactful because not only is Raya getting over her lack of trust, but so are they, and we understand why they wouldn't trust her and how important it is that they do trust her. But because of the pacing issues, we don't get a chance to do that. So it's just, this movie's not bad, it just went by a little too fast, and I think that's its biggest problem. So, Raya and the Last Dragon, is it good? Yes, it's pretty good. It's one of the better movies I've seen in the past few months. Compared to Mulan and Wonder Woman 1984, it's an absolute masterpiece. It's a masterclass in filmmaking. It's definitely a masterclass in animation and a masterclass in animated action. And I do think the acting is really, really good. Kelly Marie Tran deserves something for this. Probably an Oscar nomination at best, But she did really good, and I really hope to see where she goes. I wonder where she's going to go after this. I hope she does really well. But again, pacing issues pacing issues are mostly to blame for some of the lack of character intrigue, as well as preventing me from really taking in this world and getting immersed in the story. But yeah, that third act was just so good, and the action and the animation and even the score, which I haven't mentioned before, is really good and really evocative of Southeast Asian culture. All that is so good that I have to justify this being a 7 out of 10. A solid 7 out of 10. Yeah, it's good, but it has some flaws that could be fixed next time. But overall, well done, Disney. You did good. You did good. Hopefully we see more great stuff from you in the future. Oh, and one more thing. Maybe next time don't charge $30 freaking for this!